This short little video is going to show you how to configure a DRG100 or DRG200i, how to connect it with a Tait T2 conventional channel controller. Now there's no difference between a DRG100 or a DRG200i in terms of configuration. Now note, this instruction uses version 02.14.08 of the Tait channel controller software. If you have another version of software, then there may be some differences. Now before we actually start the process of configuration, a few things you're going to need. A radio ID for the DRG. Now this will be used in the AIS message that is sent to the channel controller, and it represents an actual radio ID. You will also need a password for the channel controller, and you'll also need to know the IP address of the channel controller, or if there is more than one channel controller, the IP address of course, of all of the controllers. Now over on the Tait channel controller, it must of course be online and have the following already configured: TB7300 radio sites and wide area groups. We will be assigning one of these groups to our DRG100. Alright, I've got two web browsers open here. This one is connected to the Tait channel controller at the moment, and we can log into that using the default username of admin and the default password of Tait. So we log in, and we can also log into our DRG100 over on the right hand side here, where we have the username of Omni and the password of DRG100. So we're logged into both ends of the link at the moment. First thing is to check over on your Tait side that we have some channel controllers. We have one controller here, which is the one that we've browsed into. We have some radio sites. This one's called Glenn's Office VHF at the moment. And we have some wide area groups. We've got 3 configured here: Ian's, Jennifer's and Johan's. The ID 0 is not to be used, by the way. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is configure the Tait channel controller for our new DRG100. So on the left hand side here, we come down to the interfaces and we choose AIS connections. Now we can see all the AIS accounts that we already have configured in this channel controller. We're going to add a new one. So we come down here, we click on Add, and then we give it a name. Any appropriate name you might like. I'm going to call mine Operations. So just type that in. You can put a comment in there if you like, but I'm going to just leave that blank at the moment. Now the username is that radio ID I mentioned that you needed. It must be a unique radio ID in the system. I'm going to use 54 because I know I don't have 54 anywhere else in the system at the moment. And then that password, I'm going to make it simple: Operations. Now those 2 parameters we're going to need when we set up our DRG100 as well. Now the group we're going to assign it to, we've got those 3 groups that we saw before. I'm going to keep it at Ian's WA group. And that's all there is to it. We just click on Save. And you can see that the new AIS account has appeared here on line ID number 4 here. And there's our username, which is our radio ID of 54. And now we go over to the DRG100 and we go down the menus here and look for Digital Radio. Click on Digital Radio, and then we have a number of tabs up the top. Next click on DMR AIS Settings. Alright, the first thing is we want Tier 2, so we select Tier 2 in the DMR AIS tier selection. Compatibility mode, you leave it as is. DMR AIS Tier 2 slot. Choose Tier 2 slot not specified. The gains can remain at 0 dB. The SIP port number will be 5070. UDP protocol, you can keep that the same there. Now the DMR AIS ID, remember over here we made it 54. So over here we put in 54. Now for the password, if you remember, the password was operations. Now we need to know the IP address of our controller, and coming back over here we see it's 192.168.20.230, and enter this address over into your DRG100. Notice the SIP colon at the start of the address is not strictly necessary. And there we are. Now if you have any more nodes, you can also put in the IP addresses of any other nodes you may have. I've only got the one node, so I'm sticking to this one. By the way, the first one is the highest priority. This is the one that the DRG100 will try and connect to begin with. And if it can't connect to that, it will then go to lower priority nodes. So let's hope this one's going to work. Now as we go down a bit further, all this information here can remain at default settings. So we just keep those as they are. Right, the very next thing is to save it. Now, if we want GPS capability, then we have to click on the GPS tab up here. But first of all, we have to make sure that we have an account on the Tait controller that we can log into. So we go to the settings menu over on the Tait controller, come down to users, click on users. Now you can see that there's two account numbers or account types here. Now what we could do is use the admin account here, but that has quite a lot of permissions and it should not really be used. We're going to add our own account. Now the username for this account, I'm just going to make it Peter S, which is me, and my name for reference. You can put a comment in there if you like. I'm not. Access level will be read only. Now the password, I'm just going to make an easy one at the moment. 1234. Confirm the password. 1234, and then we save. And then we see our new account, which we can use for our GPS access. So back over to the DRG100, we enable it. Port number, keep the same at 443. Override GPS host address, leave that unchecked. Username, now our DRG100 uses the default admin account for the Tait controller. Of course we're going to change it to the one we've just made, which is Peter S, and our password was 1234. Now poll interval, try and keep it at 120 seconds at the moment just to see how it goes. If you make it any smaller, then you may get a lot of GPS coordinates come in and overload the system. If you make it any longer, then of course it takes a long time for the GPS to be updated on the map. So keep it at 120 for now and see how you go with that one. Report GPS for units without valid fleet. I'm going to leave that unchecked at the moment. Alright, we now save that and restart our DRG100. Now while that's restarting, we'll just go over to the Tait controller again and click on AIS connections. And with a bit of luck, when the DRG restarts, this should become okay. So we're just watching the DRG100 restart at the moment. Aha, it's come okay. If we go into system status on the DRG100, you can see that a DMR AIS ID 54 is connected. Okay. So there we have it. We now have our DRG100 talking to the Tait T2 channel controller. And thank you very much for watching this video. And remember, if you have any further inquiries about products from Omnitronics, you can always contact us on email at sales@omnitronics.com.au, and you may have some technical queries, maybe on some of these configuration items we've been looking at. You can always get us at support@omnitronics.com.au. Okay, thank you for that, and bye for now.